Padres Hot Tub rolling through the summer with you in this 2024 season. The roller coaster just got past the midpoint and is now coasting maybe back upwards. And folks who really love this show and have been with it for a while support it by going to patreon.com. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub is where you can sign up to become a patron of the program. It has a ton of benefits starting at the $5 level where you get access to our Discord. You get ad-free podcasts. You won't even see or hear this particular pre-roll that we're doing right now, plus the chance to be part of our shows on group therapy, on post-game shows, access to our ticket marketplace. There's so many things. But right now, we're doing an annual membership upgrade drive where if you come in at the annual level, which is actually a huge bonus, it's 2 months free when you do it. Above and beyond that, if you do that at the big level or above, we will be sending you a Waldron Cauldron t-shirt, a Padres Hot Tub exclusive, right there as part of your upgrade and as a thank you for your commitment to Padres Hot Tub. If you come in at the $5 level, you also get a nice discount on said t-shirt. So, guys, a chance between here and the trade deadline. This annual upgrade membership drive underway. I feel like I'm working at KPBS right now, but what would you like to add to the value
KPBS
for our
is fantastic.
pledges?
No shade being thrown there. I just want to say that the Waldron Cauldron t-shirt is one of the best pieces of merch in this Padres season. I've seen the Jurickson Mr. Irrelevant heart one. I love whoever did that. That one is so great. This one is also fire, as the kids say. And we're gonna have news on the front of that particular design. And you want to have your hands on it the first time you see it at a baseball game. So you should just be the person wearing it.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is going to be one of those shirts where you're going to have it in 15 years and you're going to say, hey, remember Matt Waldron? Remember Matt Waldron in 2024? Man,
you're going to wear it to his Hall
fun.
of Fame inductment is what's going to happen.
Yeah, to his Hall. Yes, when in the disputed lands, we will all be there. So get your piece of merch, before the Marauders come in 2037.
Only some of us will be there. Let's not raise expectations, Raphie. But those of us who make it through the culling, the great culling, that took a dark turn. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, like we were saying, is a great way to support the show. Check it out. Come in at the annual membership. Get yourself a Waldron Cauldron t-shirt. Thank you. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. It's Craig Elsten, it's Chris Reed, it's Raphie Cantor. It is Monday, July 22nd. We are recording on an off day. The quote-unquote second half, which rolls off the tongue a lot better than the final 39% or the 63 skidoo. We try to workshop some of these. Well, we're down to 60 games for the Padres now. They stand with 52 wins against 50 losses. They've won 2 in a row, and they took 2 out of 3 in Cleveland, which is a very good thing. On the show today, we'll talk through the 3 games of the weekend series and all the storylines that come out of it. We'll look to the trip ahead. We'll finish with a little Moneyball-inspired North Star discussion for our San Diego Padres. I thought I would start, guys, because we didn't do this last week when we were in the middle of the All-Star week, with just a simple level set. I remember in our preseason predictions, both you and I, Raphie, picked a number 85 wins. Would you agree, just the two of you, that 85 is the appropriate number to put the red line on in terms of the anticipated cut line for Major League Baseball? If you have 85, you should be above the cut line.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the projected number from the very beginning that we had discussed. And I'm actually pulling up Fangraphs playoff odds right now, just to look at where everything stands in terms of the wild card. And right now, obviously, we're starting to see just the tiniest, ever so slightly, separation of the pack, where you've got the Braves obviously at the top, Cardinals and Mets, Padres, Diamondbacks, Pirates, all within a half game, or one game, excuse me. They're all within one game of one another, 5 teams. But there was a hangers-on of Giants, Cubs, Reds, Nationals that were also kind of globbed into that. There's now a 3-game gap between the Giants and the Pirates. And so I think we're just ever so slightly starting to see that separation. But what I will say is the projected win total of the Cardinals, Mets, Padres, Diamondbacks, as of right now, is all in the 83 win range. In terms of, that's where Fangraphs is projecting it right now. 50th percentile outcomes for all of them. They're all projected to put up about 83 wins. And so I think 85 is a very safe number to say that will be for the final wildcard spot that should get you in. So I agree.
To make it a little shorter, like Raphie said, there's been a big old glom of 500. And I don't see anybody besides the Braves pulling away from that sharply. The Cardinals are playing the Cardinal way of baseball, but they still have a negative 32 run differential. The Braves just have the pack kind of trounced at 55. Diamondbacks are 22, Padres 13, Mets 12. So no, I don't see anybody, finishing 8 games over 500 of those teams. I see, of course, the Padres finishing 7 games. That's it.
Well, okay, so if we agree, then at 85 and 77, the Padres are at least 95% to make the playoffs, right? Some weird 1 out of 20 scenario where 3 teams rocket, all at the same time here in the final 60 games, and it winds up being 87 as the line because those teams all push the line so high. That's a way that this season could finish. It's not an expected way. So with that, we can say the Padres need to go 33 and 26 the rest of the way. They got 33 more wins they got to grab. It was 35 to start the 63 skidoo, and now it's down to 33. We're still working on that. Now it's down to 33. And I think that's our countdown number, whether we want to, divvy it up as slices of the owner's clothing to peel off, or whether we want to do notches on the wall. However we do it, I think it's a count to 33 wins to put this Padres team in the playoffs.
I think that could send a smile would look particularly naughty in just a little Speedo. Like, he's got a secret.
You don't know that he has a secret at all.
You know with that smile, he has a secret.
I mean, what better deploying of the actual Padres hot tub than if not to get Eric Katsenda in a Speedo?
Again, things taking turns I didn't expect. I was just referencing
steak,
a popular movie, guy. Major League.
I want to see the majority stake, if you know what I mean.
Whoa. Pause. Hold on.
Time out.
Hold the phone. Okay. All right. Within this overall goal, which I think is the real thing, 33 and 26. I'm taking you guys back on track here. This train is not leaving the rails. If that's the overall goal, first off, it should take Doomerville down a notch because there's 26 losses. So when you lose a game, you've lost a game. It's not the end of the world. When that gets down into single digits, we can panic completely. 26 losses, that's a good amount of field to work with. It's a good amount of shots you can pull out of the rough. I appreciate that. Also, the team has to play at a higher level. That's clear. There are weaknesses to this club that remain apparent through the 3 games they played in Cleveland, including the 2 wins. The offense has been very spotty of late. I think there's some things that people don't want to talk about in there that we can talk about. a little bit later as the program continues. But there's also the opportunity to upgrade the roster at the trade deadline. And I just think this is such a fascinating week and a half sprint to get to the deadline, to be in a position to justify a trade to improve the team. And it's not just the Padres. It's the Padres, it's the Diamondbacks, the Mets, the Pirates, and to some extent, the teams below that. It's the Cardinals, it's the Giants. All of these teams need to put themselves in a place where their owners and their GMs can sync up to upgrade their rosters. And I think the Padres could go any direction right now. Probably not to hard sell, but they could go any direction. That made those 2 wins encouraging if you want to root for this year's team.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to save my thoughts about the directions for the North Star conversation when we wrap up the show. But I'm just thinking when you were laying out 33 and 26 as our target, you think back to earlier in the year when we got swept by the Rockies and the Angels. And if we had won just one game in each of those series, which would still be viewed as failures, by the way, if we had lost series to the Rockies and to the Angels, those would still be viewed as failures. We'd be a game and a half up in the wild card. And, our target at that point would be 31 and 28, which is a much different, going 3 over instead of 7 over is a much different proposition. And so I think when I'm thinking about that remaining target, 33 and 26, I'm thinking about this stretch of games that comes immediately after we finish this kind of short-term gauntlet that we're in, where we have to go Nationals to Orioles to Dodgers. Because then we have 4 series in a row that are against the Rockies, at Pittsburgh, at the Miami Marlins, and then against Pittsburgh at home. And I say Pittsburgh like that they're not currently tied with us for a spot in the wild card. But they're projected to be a weaker team. They're a team that by all measures going into this year we've said we should be beating. So I don't like the mentality of, banking wins now to buy losses later. You shouldn't be, you should want to win all the time. Like, I don't like it as a mentality as a player, but as a pure zero-sum exercise, like that is the stretch that I see in the next, 2-3 weeks where I'm going to have a general sense of if the Padres can really hit that 85 win number, because they should be banking stuff so they can eat some losses later.
You're right about the one game thing, Raphie. That's what it's going to come down to with this many teams around each other. I got curious about it, and I went back and looked at the Diamondbacks season last year. We finished behind the Diamondbacks 1 game. Diamondbacks had the tiebreaker. The last game the Diamondbacks won in the regular season, they lost 4 in a row to finish the season. That's why the Padres, it was even somewhat interesting, right? The last game they won was against old friend Luis Patino, pitching for the White Sox. They eked out 3 runs in front of 15,000 people in Chicago. And Brandon Pfaadt pitched them to victory that day. If that game flips, if for this year, that matters. They need the Padres now need to keep winning series. If they do that, I'm going to feel fine about it. I'm going to feel good about it. I'm not going to worry about where they are in the flash standings against Pittsburgh, tied right now, because I think they got a better roster than that. It's going to be a 1-game thing. And I really hope that we're not next year looking at that Angel series or the Rockies series is going like, man, could we just not have given up the 5-run lead? Could we just have had that one reliever shut them down and punch the ticket where anyone could find themselves as the last man standing? So yeah, I go to the 1-game thing, Raphie. I thought it was cool that you're aligned.
Well, let me just add a little more context to this before we move on, because there's one thing I want to push back on that I heard earlier. The Braves are not unassailable by any means. And I'd like to even drag in tonight's results. They lost again. They're 9 games over 500. The Braves just lost Max Fried to the same injury that cost Garrett Cole 3+ months. He's probably out for the year. Spencer Strider's out for the year. Ronald Acuna's out for the year. And they just lost Ozzie Albies to a broken wrist for at least 8 weeks. This is a reduced Braves team. Their pitching is deeply reduced. They're counting on Chris Sale now to lead the rotation. Before, he was like the most exciting number 3 starter. Reynaldo Lopez has started to slow down. I believe firmly that the Braves can be caught, and quite possibly will be caught. And the Padres are a team that if they could rise to a level, they could get to that 6 games up and then push forward instead of doing the inevitable slide back to 500. You know, it's like we keep trying to break away from our bad habits and then we backslide and we backslide. We backslide to 500 again and again. If they can do that, I do believe they could challenge to get to the 4 spot. I think that's the upside play for the Padres. I think the Dodgers, you know, they're up there 18 games over. It's pretty hard, despite their vulnerabilities. It's pretty hard to ever catch them. But if you could get to 10 over, 10, 12 over, that can totally be the number 4 seed and an improved Padres roster that had a lot cleaner 4-5 in their rotation and or had their stars back. I think probably or more than is a team that can do that. They're deeply vulnerable, but there also, I think, is that upside.
I think you've identified a good number that we can feel safe on as far as wins needed to get to 85. Even if the Braves continue, you know, just kind of having that organizational shine that keeps them where they are, I think the Padres got a lot going on from, and the starting pitching, like earlier in the year, I talked about the potential for the rotation being the best that it possibly could. And that's because Michael King and Dylan Cease were capable of being legitimate ace pitchers. And we've seen that. Like, if these guys can be the same in October as they are now, I'll put the Padres up against anybody in 3 games.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, just little caveat, you know, that I think the line of 85 is a safety line. I think 87 or 88 could be the number 14.
89.
89 was, I think, your pick, Chris. That's where the 22 team got to. That's 16 over. Seems high for this group.
For this
seems
group.
high. Seems high for this group of players.
It seems high for a group where Randy Vasquez and Adam Major are the 4th and 5th starters.
Sure.
If that changes,
their record in those games is not good, but their records in games where the F bullpen pitches leverage innings is far worse.
Yeah. Maybe that's
we'll
transition.
We'll talk more about both of those things as we get to the Cleveland series. But first, we have a flash giveaway for the folks who support Padres Hot Tub at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Chris Reed told me before the show, I've got some stuff to give away.
Not
Chris, take it away.
Give away. These are folks who have bought cards. This is a randomization. These are patrons.
Explain. I don't understand.
You don't understand. That's obvious. These are folks these are patrons in our Discord baseball card channel who have bought Topps Now baseball cards. These cards commemorate moments throughout the season that are really awesome. I'm holding 2 of them right now. Whoops. This is solid television. There we go. I'm backwards. These are, you can see Jeremiah Estrada. This is him setting the record for most consecutive strikeouts. This is Jackson Merrill. He hit a clutch 2-run single, and then Jerks and Profar walked off the game. These cards are little snapshots of the season. And when we do group orders on our Discord where I say, hey guys, who wants these cards? They're cheaper if you buy 10 of them, if you buy 20 of them. So we've been doing that. I've been organizing them, sending them out. And what Topps does is they include low number parallels in these. So the Estrada is to 5, the Merrill is to 25. I'm going to share my screen for our YouTube viewing audience to behold, and I'm going to give these away to a couple of the patrons who bought into the Tops Now thing. So this is for you guys. Thank you very much for supporting the PHT breaks. Thank you very much for engaging in our Discord. Let's see who is taking home these cards. I'm going to do this 3 times, and the top name gets the Jackson Merrill. 1, 2, 3. It's me! It's a me! I won the Jackson Merrill card. I'm going to give this away to one random comment on our YouTube channel of this. It is now a giveaway, Craig. You are the most amazing, just prescient person in the world. You were right. This is now a giveaway. Comment on the YouTube channel. I will be giving away this Jackson Merrill card. And this one is not a giveaway unless I win again. But this one's going to go to a patron. 1, 2, 3. It's the Murph! Murph, you got the Jeremiah Estrada to 5. I know. I will contact you. It'll be all good. Like Craig said, this is a giveaway. It always has been. Leave a comment on our YouTube, and you will be in the running to win this Jackson Merrill rookie card that also has Jurickson Profar getting a bath on the back of it.
So,
Okay.
First of all, I just want to, for people who aren't familiar, the low numbers mean that there's only 1 of 5 of these cards that exist for the Estrada one, and there's only 25 of the Merrill cards that exist. Is that correct, Chris?
Correct. This is the Merrill one that is being given away is a purple parallel. It is numbered 23 out of 25.
Wow. It's good
Purple
stuff.
parallel.
Good stuff. So just go to our YouTube page. Of course, subscribe, but leave a comment on this very video, on this episode. I'll do the same exact random stuff you saw me do here, and I'm going to give it away to somebody there.
All right. Good luck to everybody. And please, while you're there, smash that like button, please, and hit subscribe to get to future episodes. I believe Doctor Strange and the Purple Parallel is scheduled to come out in May of 2026.
100% coming out tomorrow, wherever you get your podcasts, at least.
Okay. All right. On to Cleveland. Fun times in Cleveland today. Yeah, Cleveland. You guys ever see that?
Cleveland rocks, dude. That's what I saw. I saw Mimi, Drew Carey dancing on cars.
Oh, hang on. I'll give you the YouTube link. I think it's hastily recorded Cleveland promo. Is the way, or if you just even do Cleveland tourism video, you will get it. Yeah, hastily made Cleveland tourism video.
All right. I'll look it up when we're done.
That's my gift to you.
All I know is MLB.TV really wants me to go to Cleveland. I'm getting Cleveland tourism ads constantly when I'm watching Padres games. I don't know if that's just me.
Our top export is crippling depression. That's one of the lines. Our economy is built on LeBron James. It's really funny. Hastily made Cleveland tourism promo. Regardless, the Padres came in there and did something that, as it turns out, only one team had ever done. I had been spreading misinformation, which is different than disinformation. Disinformation is knowing and purposeful spread of malinformation with an attempt to disrupt the public and influence them unduly. By comparison, misinformation is when you're just simply wrong about something.
Just an idiot.
And just passing that along. I had heard that the Indians had not lost a series at home, and then I went to check because I'm a good boy. And when I did, I went to the ESPN schedule page, and I saw this Yankee series, and it said postponed, loss, win. And I thought, oh, okay, the 4th game was postponed. So that series isn't over. Right? They're going to replay.
Yeah.
So therefore, they haven't lost a series at home because that one that's not over yet. But I had misread it. The loss, win. They played a doubleheader the next day. I didn't notice that there were 2 games on the same date. So it was the second time a team had gone to Cleveland and beaten them in a series. And then Detroit just stepped in today and Tarek Skubal beat them. So maybe it's just old hat now to beat Cleveland at Progressive Field. But nonetheless, what a great top-end, top-of-range performance for the San Diego Padres pitching staff. As Matt Waldron, Dylan Cease, and Michael King all pitch just about as well as they possibly can pitch. And the Padres score in exactly 3 innings in 3 days.
Yeah.
And somehow parlay that into 2 wins. Truly a low percentage feat that they pulled off this weekend.
I mean, I don't want to maximize the offensive woes and minimize the pitching gains. Starting pitching put up 20 innings of 1-run ball this weekend.
Incredible.
And it's incredible, and it's a miracle that they didn't sweep, given that stat that I just said. And to feel like we eked out a series win when your starting pitching puts up 20 innings of 1-run ball in 3 games feels somewhat miraculous, and yet here we are. I think that this series was somehow maybe the most representative of the 2024 Padres as they currently exist, because you saw really everything on display. You saw the potential of the entirely new, I'm going to call Matt Waldron an acquisition in a way. He wasn't on the team in 2023, but Cease, King, and Waldron were not pitching, significantly for the Padres in 2023 whatsoever. And here they are, all performing at a top level. The offense, spotty, like you're talking about. Clearly the potential is there. And then you really saw the crux of it, the 2-tiered bullpen on full display, where who manages our team? I'm sorry, I'm jet lagged. Mike Schilt. Mike Schilt made a very interesting decision on Friday that made me very upset in the Discord. And in hindsight, looks like a great decision. But the decision that he made on Friday night was going into the bottom of the 8th inning with the Padres trailing by just 1 run. He decided to put Stephen Kolek into the game in a move that we all knew at the time was essentially a punt. He was saying the Padres have 3 outs against, I'm so embarrassed to say this, is it Emmanuel Clase or is it Emmanuel Clase?
I would say it the first way.
Clase.
Thank you. I'm honestly never sure. 3 outs against the basically unbeatable Emmanuel Clase. As we mentioned, the Cleveland Guardians were 30-11 at home going into the series. And so Schilt essentially decided to punt and keep his A bullpen in for Saturday and Sunday. And lo and behold, that ended up being critical for the Padres to win this series. I guess I bring it to you guys. How did you feel on Friday when Mike Schilt decided to punt?
I'm going to put my hand up real quick. Sorry. I think there is we can talk about anything results-based. If you can make decisions based on what the results are going to be in the future, then you are in a great spot managing, but you should probably be doing something else, like making bets from your island that you buy with all the money because you know the future.
Yes.
You can only make decisions based on process. It's just like, and sorry, I played a little too much poker last week, but it's like, and watched the World Series of Poker. It's like people ripping somebody on a hand without thinking about what they would do on every street. And if you were in that moment and all the pressure of the money and everything else, the tournament, the television lights, everything else, what you would do in that moment. So I'm all about process is the short way of saying that. Okay. I'm not about the results analysis. I'm about the process analysis. You have to hold it at 0-1.
Yeah.
You have to hold it at 0-1. You've gotten 6+ innings out of Waldron. You've gotten an inning out of Matsui. And you've got your entire bullpen rested for 4 days with an off day on Monday. It's 1 inning. You've got to hold the line at 0-1. And of this two-tiered bullpen, that's a great way to put it, Raphie. I'm co-opting that two-tiered bullpen. In that upper tier, there are 3 guys, and one of them didn't pitch all weekend. Adrian Morejon. Cleveland had an all-lefty lineup. You just had to throw Morejon for an inning. Now, he blows it, whatever, right? But the process is you hold that line, and at the bare minimum, you get Emmanuel Clase in the game. Because, yeah, he's the unbeatable Emmanuel Clase, but 1-run game, 2024 Padres? Who's to say there isn't a bloop and a blast in this team, or something improbable, or a run scoring to tie and get us to the Manfred man? Like, this team, I was going to watch the 9th inning to see what Clase was going to do, and if nothing else, you've used a Clase bullet now for Cleveland that weekend. And the second time he comes out, if he comes out a second time, he's going to be a little more tired, and you're going to have seen him once as a team. There's a proven sabermetric benefit to continuing to see a reliever within the course of a series. So I thought tactically it was 100% the wrong move. Shildt afterwards saying that he wasn't going to chase a win is the dumbest thing he's said all year. It's literally your job to chase the win.
And I feel like that he's said in interviews, we're here to chase wins. I don't know if that's been in something.
It's the dumbest thing he said all year. I'm completely, as I said before when we did the review of him, I think he's doing a bang good job as manager of the Padres. I think he's a panicky bullpen manager, and we're going to talk more about that. We're talking about it right now. But I think he does a good job managing this team. I'd love to never hear from him again. The smug comment he made after Sunday's game, I'm just over it. Oh, well, I guess I won't be the one to overreact. Like, he gaslights the Padres community. If you don't think everything's roses, you're not in the Shildt way. But, okay, now I'm going to talk real about Mike Shildt. I just said he's doing a bang-up job. He's doing a good job. Bullpen management is what confuses the fuck out of me. And you don't use Morejon that day. 1-0 turns into 7-0. Clase gets to sit down without warming up. He only threw his couple of his long toss pitches. And by that point, it was 4-zip, and he was able to sit down. He's now fresh for the rest of the series. Tactically, you've blown it. Okay? But you've shown a propensity that you're going to go ahead and use that non-leverage side of the bullpen. Okay. The next day, you're up 7-0 in the bottom of the 8th. And there's Jeremiah Estrada in the game.
Yeah.
If he's there +7, if you need Estrada to pitch in +7, if you hate your bullpen so much that you have to go to the top tier for +7 on your mental strategy sheet of where I need to go and when, then what the hell is -1?
Yeah.
Like, you got to rewrite your chart, dude. So that just blew my mind. That was I think that was the worst I've seen him. Oh, the very next day, I know, it's 2-1. It's a scary game. Estrada's in there, strikeout, out, walk to a guy who's got a near 400 on base percentage. Bottom of the order's up. Bo Naylor. Here comes Suarez. I don't necessarily think that what he did Saturday and Sunday are wrong. They are of a piece of how Shilt's managed all year. He's a little bit panicky. He's the manager who wants to get the guy out before he gives up the big hit, as opposed to letting him stay in to give up the big hit. So it's different than Melvin, and it's something we've had to adjust to. I'm fine with that. But there's a cognitive dissonance between I panic and I bring in Estrada in a 7-0. I panic and I bring Suarez in after a 2-out walk and the number 9 hitter's up when you've got Estrada, another top-tier guy, on the mound. And it's 1-0. And here comes Kolek and Austin Davis to fricassee the game.
But you've just set up the timeline completely backwards. That happened before he decided to make sure he shot his howitzers off when, he may have overkilled, bringing in Suarez early and having Estrada pitch that game. he can't trust his bullpen. Stephen Kolek, his last 2 appearances, he gave up 4 runs in no innings pitched against Cleveland because he didn't retire a batter. He gave up 3 runs in 1 inning in a game that blew up against the Braves because of he came in. Prior to that, 9 scoreless appearances. So,
in
like, how do you build trust in that?
Yeah.
Right. I understand. I do. I mean,
that's all. I don't want to alibi Mike Schilt, and I can't disagree with anything you said about the tactical decision Friday. It just didn't bother me as much, considering Class A, who, gosh, every time I've seen that guy pitch has been amazing. I wish he could have been in the Padres organization at some point.
He was.
I'm aware, Craig. I know we traded him for
somebody
nobody.
might not be. He was. We traded him in a meaningless trade. A meaningless trade.
That one just didn't bother me all that much. Like, I saw where he was going with it. I really liked how the Padres matched up against this Cleveland team. I talked about it on the group therapy last week, and it was because of the last game. The Sunday game is kind of, I saw them winning that matchup because Cleveland doesn't have the starting pitching, but they have the bullpen. If the Padres can get to their starter and have the A-team bullpen available, they're lights out. And that's what went down. And I think Mike Schilt was just looking at his matchups the next 2 days. You've turned me on it. I think it was the wrong move, but it just didn't bother me as much as, some of the other ones just going at it. And while we're still on Friday's game, I just want to say Matt Waldron has gone from guy who I thought was a fun contestant in the contest to be number 5 starter against Brito and Vasquez coming into spring training to a guy that I want to see in the playoffs. And you want to know why? In his start against Cleveland, dude almost got annihilated by like a 104 comebacker that was right at his ear. Right at his ear. And it wound up in his glove. It was an out. And then his very next batter, I can't remember the result, but I just remember seeing him so composed, it was like nothing has happened. And that was one of the first things I loved about Matt Waldron. He is unshakable on the mound. And as far as a competitor and a person who has that low heart rate, I don't think we have anybody like him on the team.
Love it. Catch the Waldron Cauldron t-shirts available at padreshottub.com/merch. Waldron Cauldron, padreshottub.com/merch.
Before we move on, I just want to wrap up the conversation this way, just because I was curious and I wanted to put it into terms of expected wins to try and understand this idea. So in the last 100 years in baseball, when the home team's entering the 9th inning up 1 run, they have an 86.6% chance of winning the game. So in other words, that's to say that the Padres had a 13.4% chance of winning the game going into the 9th inning on Friday had they protected the 1-0 lead. They protected the 1-0 lead.
1-7.
So what Mike Schilt was essentially doing in the bottom of the 8th inning was he was punting on 13% of a win is the idea. And I think that's just I know it can get echoey when we start to agree with each other, but I think that when the season's going to come down to a win or 2 wins different, because that's what the wild card's going to be. That's what it is when you're a 500 baseball club, like you brought up that Bill James quote, Chris, a few weeks ago, where you're living and dying by every game. Because every win truly
I am pretty
matters.
sure I did not bring up a Bill James quote, by the way. You've given it to me twice, and I don't want it. Like, I'm not the smart Bill James person.
Okay.
No, you read it somewhere, but I think you did. But anyway, we digress. Go ahead.
Maybe accidentally.
Versus when the home team is losing by 7 runs in the 8th inning, the away team has a 99.51% chance of winning the game. And so that's, they have half of a percentage point chance, the Guardians did, to come back and win. And so I bring this up because you're looking at burning Jeremiah Estrada on Friday night or on Saturday night. And think about that in expected wins and how the trickle-down effect has, where you're preserving a 13% chance to win versus protecting, against a 0.5% chance of a loss in that situation. And by burning Jeremiah Estrada on Saturday, he's going to go again on Sunday. You expect him to go back-to-back days, relatively no problem. But, he's not quite as crisp. He's not quite as fresh as if he hadn't pitched on Saturday. And so this is just I think I'm just trying to explain why I felt so mystified on Friday night and why I was so upset. And I think also, and last point on this, my least favorite loss, my absolute least favorite loss is when your starting pitcher shoves and you're losing the game. That is the most pain, especially someone like Waldron, who, yes, he's a guy now and absolutely, but even as a guy, he's a 3-starter. You know what I mean? And when your 3-starter shoves, you got to win that game. So that was where all my frustration came from.
But you have to score a run to win the game.
That's right.
I'm with you, Rafe.
Well, I just thought that was the best explanation I've heard yet. Thank you so much. I miss Pods Above Replacement so much. It's exactly the content I need. And I don't want this to sound wrong. I'm passionate about this. If you think that giving up a 13%, and even if you want to be kind to Clase and drop that to an 8% chance.
Well, you don't need to, Rafe. Craig, in 46 appearances, he's given up 4 runs, which almost is identical percentage-wise. 4 runs over 46 is 111.
8%. Like you're
all right.
It's
all right.
almost
So
identical.
it's just to be kind to Clase, you say that if you think that punting an 8% chance while utilizing the same risk threshold, an inning of a top-tier reliever, to protect a 0.5% chance is okay, if you think that's okay, you've never gambled real money in your life or done something serious that involves money and risk in your life. This is where the sharps make their money, is on idiots who punt a 13% chance but double down on a 0.5% chance.
Yeah, just to really hammer home Craig's point here, even if the Padres had an 8% chance to win on Friday night, they were 16 times more likely to win on Friday than they were to lose on Saturday. That's the point. If they go into the 9th inning with a 1-run lead.
Yeah. Now Schilt might say, "Hey, buddy, you don't have to manage my bullpen. I'm going to throw out Sean Reynolds or Logan Gillespie, and the next thing you know, 7-0's going to be 7-8." But why? Logan Gillespie's pitched pretty good in run-up situations like that. Why the hell is he on the team if you can't use him in that spot? If you can't use him in that spot,
Kolek and all these guys, why are on the team if you can't use them?
That's exactly right. So in one side, I respect the fact that he is put into tough spots because he's got this 2-tiered bullpen where the bottom tier is just asps and serpents and wiggly things.
You could have just stopped at ass. You didn't even need the P and the serpents and all that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like that would have been smarter. Good rewrite. But also, like, you got to make the right calls, and this is the kind of call that can cost you in a 3-game series. This is the kind of call that can cost you in the final series. The final series is against Arizona.
Yeah.
In Arizona, where the season series is tied 5-5. Where if anyone's within +1, the tiebreaker is going to be the difference.
Yeah.
Right? If the result falls the right way, it's going to be tied and down to the tiebreaker. So we need those decisions to be right. And in that spot, that decision was wrong. And then the justification is whatever. I don't care. I don't care what he says. I only care what he does. So I want him to do the right things. Continuing forward, I do want to mention one thing because no one ever talks about it. The Padres' defense was great this past weekend.
Clean defense, baby.
Kim made some really, really good plays. Spinning play that, quote unquote, preserved the no-hitter early for King. Merrill's catch Sunday, long running jump on Ramirez to catch that ball going to the wall. with 2 outs in the ninth when the 101 pitch from Suarez got pretty well barreled out to right center field. Machado's play, I think, saved the game on Sunday when it was back-to-back hits off King, second one Ramirez, and Peralta misses the cutoff man for first and third, no outs, throws to third. Machado reads the play, steps forward, gets a critical step forward towards second base to receive the ball, snap throw, perfect throw, maybe ghost tag, but they get Ramirez. Completely changes the inning, lets them play the infield back. The ball that Naylor hits could have gone through a drawn-in infield. It was caught for a routine out that let the run score. Padres win 2-1 when all is said and done. I thought the defense was just really good, has been good, much better of late, and Kim has played much better defense of late.
Agreed.
I just want to quibble, and that was the base runner that scored when Daniel Schneemann doubled to Jackson Merrill and made the game 1-0. That led to the whole gauntlet that we would just spent 20 minutes discussing. So, we were only in that position necessarily because Manny didn't make a play that he normally makes. And so, while I think Manny absolutely, yes, did the heads up play, and I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that Manny is a poor defender, I do think it's worth just acknowledging that he hasn't been quite the guy that he has historically been this year. And I would still, I could feel people typing in the Discord. I still would rather have him there than anyone else, basically, probably in baseball. But, it's been a little bit more of a mixed bag than we're used to. And I just think that that's interesting. It's not good or bad. It's just interesting.
Yeah, at one point, Kim was playing really erratically on defense, and
April,
now he's
May.
locked in. I think it comes and goes sometimes, but at the end of the year, he's going to be there. And I know outs above average hasn't loved Manny so far this year, but I'll take his glove. And, when we see a play that Solano misses and everyone goes, Manny would have made that play, it's because it's true. And some people who don't like Manny like to hide behind numbers. The reality is that he's a great player and everyone can see it. And he's a great defender that helps this team. That's why he's going to probably go to the Hall of Fame. Now, he didn't hit for squat the last 10 games.
Bad.
And the Padres went 3-7 in those games. And in those games, guys, 10 games, 90 innings. I'm tossing out one Manfred Mann inning there because that doesn't count. It's different rules. The Padres only put up runs. They only scratched in 15 of the 90 innings. And even within that subset, in a 4-0 win last weekend when Cease was pitching, they scored single runs in 4 different innings. That was the only game they scored in 4 innings. Most of the time they scored in 1 or 2 innings in a game. It's been a very quiet offense. And when you see very few innings of scoring, it tells you that there are ruts happening in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, we continue to be, haunted by the specter of the home run machine that is Petco Park, which is that we can hit tanks at home. And I mean, there was a Jake Cronenworth home run this weekend. There was a David Peralta, lob wedge that he whipped out and through the club head of the bat, so just snuck over the right field fence. But we just, in that series, just didn't see the power that we would expect for a muggy, July day in Cleveland, July series in Cleveland. So that's certainly something I'll be paying attention to on the rest of this road trip. Because I haven't even said on this show yet, I'm on the East Coast right now, and I can confirm it is hot and muggy. This is certainly a place that people live.
Oh. Yeah. If you want to hear the Delta adventure that our friend Raphie had, just become a patron. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub and listen to this evening's banter episode in which it is all detailed in horrifying, really like terror movie level detail. I don't think I'm overselling it when I say a scene from a terror movie is what he described when he got to the airport in Atlanta.
Yeah,
so,
you just needed a virus, and then boom.
Yeah,
it's Gwyneth Paltrow
done.
Terror time. If Manny Machado doesn't hit in the playoffs, the Padres won't win in the playoffs. If Manny Machado doesn't hit these days, they don't win. Having him right in the middle of the lineup, with guys like Arias and Profar in front of him, requires that the dude perform. And when he's not going, the offense drags. And we're going to talk about the North Star later, and I'll come back to it. But the guy needs to play. That's I expect him to do it. It's the All-Star break. I would have hoped that he would have gotten lots of rest and focus coming back. And we'll look to see him do it. He always plays against the Dodgers, at least.
Well, let's see what happens. Real quickly, I just wanted to give kind of a quick who's hot, who's not. Xander Bogaerts, quietly, because it's only been singles so far. But 4 2-hit games in 5 games since coming back from the shoulder injury.
He's probing those gaps, if not thrusting into them yet.
Yeah. Whoa. Bogaerts, in his past 12 games overall, going back to before the injury, hitting .348. So Bogaerts getting hot. That's huge. He's somebody who can get hot and stay hot. We saw that at the end of last year. If he can have a get hot, stay hot, in this final 60, that would be gigantic to the Padres playoff hopes. That could move the Padres playoff needle significantly. Also hot, Kyle Higashioka, last 14 games, has a 1,013 OPS.
Damn.
Okay.
That's what we expected, Craig.
No, I was promised 10 home runs. He has 11. He has under-promised and over-delivered. So I love it. It's great. Yeah. He's obviously starting. Obviously, he's not going to 1,000 OPS the rest of the year.
I want to point out, I want to add to this list because I'm just now seeing it. Luis Campusano had a start Saturday, and he hit the 2 hardest hit balls of the game. 110.8, 109.7. They were both singles.
Did you think he changed his stance?
Craig, I'm glad you brought that up. As you noted, I've been paying attention to it. And yes, he moved his hands back again. They're back behind his head. Sammy Levitt, who produces way more Padres content that is awesome than I could ever hope to, pointed it out in a tweet this just Saturday that he's moved it back again. And I swear to God, if we have Luis Campusano hitting balls 110 with his hands back, and Kyle Higashioka launching homers on a 20 home run pace, the Padres will have had their best catching tandem in how long?
Forever.com. Yeah, I would say so. Since Mike Piazza and Josh Bard donned the tools of ignorance and came forward.
Since they donned the sand away color jerseys.
Yes.
Yes.
The sand and wave. Okay, on the other side, in his last 20 games, Jackson Merrill is hitting .225 with 2 walks against 24 strikeouts and a 619 OPS. That still holds a 619. Sorry.
No, that's a 619. No,
that's
619.
619 OPS. Yeah, 619.
Hot pocket coming.
Hey, listen, bad offensive stats I don't want to associate with San Diego. Those are 619.
How could you not?
When it's good, it's in the 619. When it's bad, it's just 619. But more recently, in his last 31 at bats, he's 4 for 31, a 129 average with 1 walk and 13 strikeouts and no home runs, 350 OPS, or the 350 as people in the outer Milwaukee suburbs like to say. I'm just
Craig,
guessing.
do you think that Jackson Merrill is slumping because he made the All-Star game?
Of course. No.
Well, it fits my narrative, so
absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. So what did he do the first game back? 0 for 4 4Ks, first time in his career, golden sombrero. Obviously, the All-Star hangover. No, I don't know about that. It actually predates that. Jackson Merrill is a rookie.
Yes.
He's going to have ups and downs. He had a big down in May. We documented it at that time. He had a big up in June. It looks like it's a down July for Jackson Merrill. Let's hope there's an up August to come and that he hasn't hit a wall, because the Padres need Jackson Merrill's production to get to the target and to get to 85 wins.
Okay.
I think there are signs of they're an upcoming. Like, he hit a good one, Oppo Field. What was the exit velocity? 97 or something like that. There it is, 97. And he also walked in that same game, which shows him being a little selective. I know, like you said, there were 2 in the last 30 games or whatever. One of them was recent. So I'm going to hope that is a sign of him being more selective at the plate, knowing he needs to not strike out 4 times in a game. Jackson, chill out on those. But he did strike out a lot, even in the other games where he walked and got singles. So it's going to be part of his profile. The guy likes to swing. He likes to go after the ball. But I think next level, Jackson Merrill is consistently hitting the ball to center field, left center field, and not striking out every single game multiple times.
Can we go on a trip to Narrative Town really quickly? Because I have my narrative.
I live there, so I'm just walking out my door.
I just got my visa, so I'm only here for a moment. But the reason that I have no proof of saying why I think Jackson Merrill is going to turn it around is that where are we going in the next 2 series? Washington and Baltimore. Jackson Merrill is from the Beltway. This is a return home as a pro for the first time for Jackson Merrill, being back in his local area. And what better way to show that than to have what I'm sure is going to be lots of family, lots of high school coaches, friends, et cetera, being there, than by going off. And if there's anyone who I think has the, constitution to show that like he will show up in a big moment and show up for his people, I think it's Jackson Merrill. So I think he's going to have a big next couple series.
And we're also giving away this card. So that has to make him feel really good. We're giving away this card if you comment on this very episode.
This next one I can't bring up at my day job because it'll start a fight in the studio. But in his last 20 games, Jurickson Profar is slashing 234, 306, 403, a 709 OPS, which is Jurickson Profar.
Jurickson Profar.
It's just Jurickson Profar. It's just what he's always been. It's what he's always been. He's got 4 homers in there. He's got 6 walks, but that's Jurickson Profar. Now, again, that includes a little bit of production that hasn't been there more recently. In his last 35 plate appearances, he's slashing 152, 200, 152. He needed to reach base 3 times yesterday to get his average back to 300. It had gone under 300. He's had such an incredible year. And anyone, including the most ardent Jurickson Profar fan, should be able to recognize that there's going to be a second half decline for Jurickson Profar, that he wouldn't be able to do it for 162 games. But you just don't want to see a complete regression so that his end of year numbers are Jurickson Profar numbers.
Yes, precisely, man. Precisely. Yeah. As long as we don't see that 570 month in July or August, he's going to finish 100 points higher than his career average. And gosh, we take that every time with a giant smile on our face. If he finishes out where he's going to be 850, 840. And that's exactly what I'm hoping for, man. Yeah. Do you think we still need? Do you think we need help for him, platoon wise or otherwise?
No, he's going to play every game all year.
Yeah.
No, I mean, also, look, we still have David Peralta starting in right field, so and that's going to be kind of my final thought on kind of like where the team is at when we talk about this offense. Being spotty. is, aside from Manny slumping and Maryland Profar talking about this team just really misses Fernando Tatis Jr. It's so built for him to be right there in the midst of things, running into pitches, creating havoc on the base paths. And, we got some somewhat encouraging news, I guess, that like maybe he's going to be back in the middle of August is like the last prognosis, but it's so up in the air. So that's all I think.
Yeah. The bottom line for me is I don't know that there is really a deal out there that overcomes the gap that is created by Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, and Fernando Tatis Jr. being out. If you can get back two of those players, then I feel a lot better about the Padres' chances to make a trade and upgrade to a top wild card level, really go in with steam to the playoffs. If you get zero of those three players back for any meaningful amount of time, I don't think there's a trade out there that puts the Padres over the top. And I don't think this particular unit that's hanging on right now, I don't want to say I don't think. I fear that they don't have 60 games left in the tank. That this group can't make it 60 games and hold performance. That our top tier will gas out in this two-tiered bullpen. That the short pitching staff will get run down. That the inconsistent offense will buckle under the pressure as these key players that we're mentioning drift. They need a push. Manny could go on an MVP tear. That would be a push. They make a trade, solidifies the rotation, solidifies the bullpen. That helps. But I really think Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, and Fernando Tatis Jr. are the guys. I think those are the guys they need.
I think that there is mid-rotation help to be had. It's going to be expensive, and we may not want to do it. We may lose an Eggy or something like that, somebody who could be really valuable for the club in the next 2-3 years. There is nobody for Tatis. That doesn't exist. You can bring in Kevin Pillar, but he's no Fernando Tatis Jr., baby. Like, that's the guy that when he's on the field, the lineup's completely different. You're no longer worried about Jurickson hitting first or second if he's being Jurickson rather than 2024 Jurickson Profar. And Kevin AC.
Well done.
He wrote that Joe has had his second bullpen incorporating breaking pitches into it. So, you guys know how I feel about that. But I'm happy that that's at least happening, and the setback has not happened yet. He said Yu Darvish may not return this year, but Nando is the guy that, just like in 2022, when we were looking at getting him back in August, even before the Juan Soto trade, we kept on going, all right, man, with Fernando back, this team is different. It's just the push they need. And I think that's very much the case for this year. So, and there's no trade out there for that. We're not getting Luis Robert. We're not doing anything crazy.
Right. Okay. Let's wrap things up. Padres are in with one last thing. Padres are in Washington. 3 games. We'll have a group therapy when it's all said and done, or maybe a post-game show after a sweep. We'll find out. Good luck. Of course, Thursday is an off day for Annie and Elsten because morning game.
Congratulations.
So put me at close to 100% to be golfing that morning. So just keep that in mind as we set recording times for potential sweeps or not sweeps. Padres will face 2 lefties in the series, including tomorrow. I believe it's DJ Hurts. DJ Hurts. So we'll see about that. He's actually been really good at home. I remember watching a past Nationals broadcast and hearing. So look it up for yourself. But we'll have coverage of that going forward. This will be the first James Wood versus Padres series. James Wood, whose 3-run double on Sunday.
Homer,
3-run homer, reversed in my mind after appeal. 3-run to a double, 3-run homer, lifted the Nationals to not only a win over the Reds, but a sweep of the Reds. They've won 3 in a row. So James Wood's preemptive revenge. It's not really revenge. You gave me the chance to start my major league career. Thank you for drafting me and developing me and then trading me to a place where I could play right away. Tour. Put that on the back of a t-shirt. Could start tomorrow. And I'm scared. Just a little bit scared about that big left-hander against Randy Vasquez. It is still 1,000 OPS against lefties.
Well, I mean, we traded James Wood for Randy Vasquez, of course. So it'll be a heated matchup between the two of those guys, no doubt.
Yes. I wouldn't be here if not for you, says Vasquez to Wood, and Wood's like, what?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Wood says what as he puts Randy Vasquez into the seats.
Yeah. Stop it.
Yeah. It's fine. James Wood has a 6.73 OPS.
Yes.
You know, like
look at that K rate. K rate's not good.
What is his K rate? I haven't even seen it.
I don't have it in front of me. I just have him on my fantasy team, and I get penalized for strikeouts.
I'm just gonna imagine something that's bad, and let me tell you,
okay.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
But look, I want to see the fire going from the last national series. This team plays well when it's emotional. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jerks and Profar trying to instigate some shit. If we're being honest, as we're being honest, he's want to do. And
don't you want to see it? Aren't you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I mean, I
want to see this team go. The K rate is 33%, by the way.
I think it's stupid when I think the dumbest thing in baseball is like guys throwing at one another. Like,
sure.
I think that's just like, we're gonna hurl objects 100 plus miles an hour at people's heads. That's not chill. But some words, great. Benches clear, awesome. I'm fine with it. I'm fine. Let's let it roll.
Guys protecting other guys, like coalescing as a team. Let's do it.
I'm just saying, Manny Machado homering after the whole Profar incident was maybe the best moment of the season, in a season which we did come back from an 8-0 deficit. It was still better. It was the best moment of the season so far. So, I mean, more of that, please.
I want the Nationals Padres rivalry. I want it. I'm here for it. Like, they're teams that, they don't necessarily have a lot in common, but there are some parallels. So let's do it.
Hey, it's only a rivalry if the other team wins. I want to keep it not a rivalry.
Good point.
Just beat the crap out of them. No rivalry. Okay, executive decision made. I see we are going to table for our pre-trade deadline discussion our North Star, and I think that's a good call. That's a good call. Good idea, Rafe. So let's put it right there. We're just over an hour. That's a great spot to leave it for the Padres. Padres heading to Washington. And, I'll just say one last thing, since we are wrapping it up. I'm just happy that they did edit their rotation. They edited out a 5th starter spot and pushed it so it'll be in Baltimore as opposed to being in Washington at the first available opportunity, meaning that they've moved up Waldron and Cease to pitch on Wednesday and Thursday on normal rest. Nothing untoward about it. Just taking advantage of the off day to not have to throw a 5th starter. And hopefully we'll find out that Johnny Brito hasn't lost his arm between here and Saturday, and we'll get the true joy of him.
Fetty's last start, I'm curious. Eric Fetty.
I think he pitched today.
Yeah, that kind of lines up.
Dude, the market's going to be so tough for pitching.
100%.
Let's find out. Let's go Padres. The more you win, the more you can play on the crazy, crazy market called MLB Trade Deadline. So let's see if they can win some more to play some more as the week goes on. Any final parting thoughts, gentlemen?
Friggin' hit the ball, boys. Just hit the ball.
Hit the ball.
Yeah. Let's see some fire. And also, this team is different. If I'm really going to believe in this team, my hands are clasped for those in audio version in prayer. We are hitting against Patrick Corbin on Thursday,
who had his best game in like a decade this week.
7 innings, 3 runs against us. I was there.
Yeah.
No, he had a better one this week. He had a better one this last start.
It's still Patrick effing Corbin. And if I'm going to believe this team's different and they're going to do something different against lefties, they're going to hit the snot out of Patrick Corbin. So please, 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 let's do that. We'll talk to you after for group therapy.
Call
Maybe
up
we
Eggy.
should trade for Patrick Corbin.
Shut up. On that. Holy cow. I mean, you've made every seafood-related suggestion in history, and that one's worse.
Patrick Corbin is fucking barnacles.
Yeah, he is. Which we're going to scrape off the hot tub. We're out of here. For Chris and Raphie, I'm Craig. Go Padres!